On the old cars, they had very large number boxes on the front, and the numbers were very easy to distinguish. And in comparison, when you look at the trolley coaches that we've seen in the picture, the numbers were much smaller because of the design of the vehicles, and it wasn't as easy to identify the number, or the route number of the vehicle as it was in the old streetcar days. Rounding the curve from southbound Granville to eastbound Broadway. And this was a timing point on the line. Sometimes the cars would sit here for 1 or 2 minutes, making up their departure time. And now heading east towards the next transfer point, which will be Oak Street. Passing a Fairview Inner. One of the Narragansett rebuilt cars on the Fairview Inner. And here's our Fairview Outer coming along. Again, this is one of the rebuilt Narragansett cars with the bulging sides, which was characteristic of that particular group of cars. Hard to imagine that this is Broadway when one sees the volume of traffic on that street today. As I make this commentary, of course, it's August of 1990. These pictures were taken probably in the early 1950s, so we're looking back about at least 40 years. Oak Street. Fairview Inner. This was one of the Brill cars that came towards us, and they too were rebuilt and modernized. And this is a Brill car pictured here. It looks as though it's just come out of the shops. There was a regular repainting program, and it was easy to identify the cars that had come out of the shop. They would come out glistening and stay that way for a few months, and then gradually get rather grimy looking until they were again put in the paint shop. All that type of work was done at the Kitsilano shops at the south end of Burrard Bridge. I think that particular car is 391, but I can't tell for sure. Now we've passed Canby Street and are heading east along Broadway, past Columbia and Manitoba Streets, etc., up the grade towards Main Street. You note the rather poor condition of the street. A lot of the pavement in between the car tracks was rather poor, where it had been uprooted for repairing of the tracks, and in many cases there were wooden blocks or concrete blocks or bricks between the tracks, and made for rather rough operation of automobiles. Coming up towards Main Street, you can see the Lee Building, which is still at Broadway and Main. And there seems to be a lot of track repair work, judging by the patches in the pavement on either side of the rails. And approaching Broadway and Main. Now this picture, of course, shows a trolley coach on Broadway, so that is a complete circuit now on the Fairview Outer Beltline.
Well, thank you, Vic. This is Frank Horn again, and I'm going to take you back to the Fraser Valley line. This again is over about 40 years since the film was made, and the commentary is being done in 1990. Now that's a typical consist of a Chilliwack line with a baggage car, express car on the head end, and one or two coaches behind. Here's a picture of Vic Sharman and his wife and family, and they're going to take the last trip. They're at Liverpool Road Station, which is right at Scott Road, where Scott Road crosses the Fraser Valley line now. And there's a sign there. We'll show you a close-up of it in a second, stating that the last trip on the Chilliwack line and the passenger service October 1st. It's sure nice to have Vic right here with us, because he's filling us in on a lot of stuff here that we didn't all know about. Pretty soon there's the train, all the last trip going up to Langley, and or the last trip to Chilliwack, and they meet at Langley, all decorated up for their ceremonies for the last trip. This is taken at Langley now. You'll see the train pulling into Langley for the ceremonies. He looks like he's coming from Chilliwack.
Yes.
He has
comment on there. The two trains met at Langley, and then there was a ceremony with the officials and so on. The two trains touched noses, and I was there at the time. It was rather a sad occasion, I thought.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give the mic to Vic here just for a second while this ceremonies are on. He'll be able to explain it to you better.
Yeah, here's the train coming from Vancouver to the Langley station, headed by one of the Connaught cars, the 1309, 10, 11 series, and of course decorated up in the Ready Kilowatt. The two trains have now touched noses, and in that last picture, although we can't really see them, is Mr. Grauer, who was president of BC Electric at the time, and Ivor Neal, who had been appointed general manager of transportation. And so that was the closing ceremony. Now I think the picture is going to take us back to the Carroll Street station, where the baggage section would leave early in the morning, a few minutes ahead of the passenger section, to allow for the loading of mail and express at New Westminster. And then the passenger section, which is shown leaving now, would meet that section at New Westminster, where they would couple up and then run together as a single train through to Chilliwack. Well, Frank, you're the interurban motorman, so I think you should take over now and tell us where we're going.
Well, thank you, Vic. It's very interesting to know you were at those last ceremonies. There's one of the Coolmans coming out with the round windows. We always said they look like an owl coming at you. They were a nice, comfortable car, though. Here's the baggage express car that's half an hour ahead of the passenger coach, coming down Commercial Drive, about 6th Avenue, just about to cross over the bridge at the Great Northern Cut, or which is the Burlington Northern now. There's the bridge with one of the Grandview streetcars crossing the Great Northern Bridge. Here comes the passenger section of the Chilliwack. He just highballs right through. He doesn't make any stops till he gets to New Westminster, and then he couples up with the baggage car. For many, many years they run 2- and 3-car trains, sometimes 4, but laterally the passenger travel was cut down, and they were only traveling with the express car and the one coach like they are on this scene. That's the Gladstone Trestle. Coming into Nanaimo Road Station.